Hey, welcome back, podcast friends. And in this episode, Theresa, my wife Theresa, is going to join me, and we're just going to talk about how you can actually plan for success. When anytime you're going to start any new big change in your life, especially if you're talking about weight loss or getting rid of medications or reversing disease states, there's going to be a big change you're going to have to do. You're going to have to do two big changes. You're going to have to change your thoughts, and you're going to have to change your environment. Get rid of all the stuff that's in your thoughts and in your environment. They're going to keep you doing your old ways, because now we're going to put all new ways. So we're going to tell you just real easy ways to do that.
Right. And, one of the things that we talk about, or definitely in our course, we talk about finding your why. And that's so important because at the beginning, usually people are super excited to lose weight and it's easy, especially maybe the first 3 or 4 days. You started on a Monday and you're doing good till Thursday. And then something happens, like somebody calls for you to go out to dinner, or it's just the weekend rolls up, or your kids are hungry for something different. I mean, there's so many things that can happen. And if you do not have a strong why, you will revert back to your old ways. And so you have to keep reminding yourself why you're doing what you're doing. You have to think into the future for that. And one of those ways is to write it down and to look at it every day.
Yep.
And to feel excited about it. You need to have really good feelings about it, because if your feelings are negative, which just sounds weird, but your feelings could be negative about your why. So
Right.
just remember, it needs to be good, happy feelings, excited feelings about your why you're doing this. And that will help you to stay on track.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to do things perfectly, but just remember that why will get, even if you fall off for one meal, you can get right back on.
Right. And we actually did a podcast kind of on this, is podcast episode 74, called Pre-Decide to Commit to Yourself. Because that's really what this is. That's what your why is. You're committed to yourself, saying, I want my future to be better than my past. I want to be better in a year than I am now. And that's what you're trying to do, is you're wanting to improve something. So you have to change these thoughts. And so, as well as changing your thoughts, find your why, knowing exactly why you really, really want to commit to this. Like Theresa said, there's going to be some stumbling blocks coming on, and you need something that you're going to be able to focus back on and get right back to it, so you know exactly why you're doing what you're doing. And we'll talk a little bit more about that just a little bit later in the podcast also. But the other thing you need to do, besides changing your thoughts, you also have to change your environment. Because I guarantee, if you are not at the health status you want to be, I bet your cupboard and your refrigerator is full of a lot of foods that you should not be eating. And chances are it's the food that's made you. If you're on medications, that's a good reason why. If you're obese, if you're overweight, this could be why also. So the first thing we do, because like we said, you will have stumbling blocks. You will have times of weakness at first, because you're trying to change your thoughts and trying to change your environment. So the best thing is just not even have those in the house to go back to if you start craving things. So what we recommend is clearing everything off your kitchen cabinets, maybe even your kitchen table, and just slowly start taking each thing out of your cupboards and your refrigerator, but each at their own time. But start taking things out one time and look at them and check them. You're wanting to see, is any of the food that you have in your cupboards, is it expired? And if you're like most people, chances are you've got a lot of food that's expired back in the back of your cabinets. So if it's expired, throw it out. Look on the ingredient list. Okay, this is going to be really important, because as you're looking through the ingredient list, if there's anything on there that says vegetable oil or seed oils, and they put that in everything, in man-made products, if you've got anything in a box, bottle, bag, or can, chances are there's going to be vegetable and seed oils in there. Throw that out. That is actually toxic, and you really don't want to give this to anybody else also, because it is toxic. You're actually putting toxins in your body.
Right. And just to clarify for some people that don't realize, the seed oils are like canola oil, soybean oil,
Safflower oil,
vegetable oil,
Crisco.
Right. Things like that. Because some people don't realize what those oils are. So your good oils would be avocado oil, coconut oil, olive oil.
And those are fruit. Those are fruit oils, because all three of those are fruit. So those are fine.
So just to clarify.
No, go ahead. And
No,
then lard and tallow. So lard is pig fat, and tallow is beef fat, basically. And those are all healthy. Full fat milk, full fat cottage cheese. Those things are good. It's the no fat, low fat. That's the stuff you want to get rid of, because as they take the fat out, they put more sugar in, and sugar is what's killing everybody. Which goes to the next thing. What were we going to say?
No, go ahead.
That's the next thing is sugar. So anything that says it has sugar, high fructose corn syrup, anything that ends in ose, because ose means sugar, basically. If maltose, dextrose, anything like that, that's a sugar also. And then there's also maltodextrin. They tend to put maltodextrin in a lot of these ultra processed man-made foods, and maltodextrin is horrible for you. So anything with that in it, take that out.
Right. And then the food colorings, this is causing a lot of issues with our children, just and adults as well. But the food colorings, just, you've heard of the red dye.
Yeah, red dye number 40.
Yeah. So just check on those things as well.
And those they really are. It's being well known. In fact, that's why they're trying to get red dye taken out of the food in the United States, because a lot of other countries, they don't allow these in their foods anyway. They actually use natural food coloring. We're the ones who use these chemical dyes, and they do have many adverse effects. And again, I talked about that in episode 130 on hidden dangers of food colorings. And a big one is the red dye number 40. It's been proven over and over again that this causes severe hyperactivity in children. So if you're feeding them anything with, cereal, Pop-Tarts, fruit juice, anything like this in the morning that has these red dyes in it, then they go to work and they're all hyper. School, and they're all hyper. Well, now what's the next thing? Well, now you take it to the doctor and now you get put on ADD meds. It's horrible when all you really had to do is just quit feeding them this toxic stuff with these food colorings in it. So that'll be another one. And then go ahead about the labels. If you're looking at your label and most healthy food doesn't even have a label. Real God-made meat, real fruit, real vegetables. Those don't have labels on them. You know what this is. It's called single ingredient foods. And that's really what you want to do. There are some things that are healthy that may have 2 or 3 ingredients, if it's just like salt or something like that. But if you've got a great big long list of more than 5 ingredients and there's stuff on there that you don't know, chances are that's a chemical. And if it's a chemical, it's foreign to your body and it will put inflammation into your body. It'll cause your body to think there's something wrong with your body and it's going to try to get rid of it.
And, one of the comments that we get about this, like clearing out your refrigerator and your cabinets, is that's a waste. You're wasting food, wasting money. And so what we tell people is if you really want to not throw that food out, then eat it. But then when you go to replace it, like if it's some sort of a ketchup or mayonnaise, get something like Primal Kitchen, something that's made with avocado oil versus the soybean oil and the canola oil. So just know, and then of course, if they're in bags, boxes, bottles, and cans, then just don't buy those again. If you really have something against throwing out all that food, which is perfectly fine.
Right. But do remember, you're throwing it out because it really is toxins. So do you really want to eat it now? Do you really want to give it to somebody else? That's a choice that everybody's going to have to make on their own. And speaking of choices, the whole thing, what we're wanting to do as we go through this podcast is we don't want you to get decision fatigue. We don't want you every single day you're thinking, oh my God, now I have to do this. Now I have to do that. Oh, I'm so busy. I've got meetings. I've got too many things to decide about. I don't have time. I'm just going to go through the drive-thru. That's what we don't want. We want you to be able to plan ahead so you know what's going to be coming up. And there's different things you're going to do. There's different things you're only going to do like once a week. And then there'll be things that you're going to do daily. So we'll kind of go through those.
Right. So the once a week is like if you go to the grocery store once a week or once every other week, you're going to plan ahead and you're going to be thinking about what type of meat you need to have in your house and vegetables and fruit. Eggs are included in that and yogurt. So cheese. Cheese. And so just think of those things ahead of time. It's like you're wanting to have some, and we have recipes that you don't have, just like people are so upset about spaghetti, which we just had last night. And we just use different noodles. You can make it with zucchini noodles, or there's some brands like Miracle Noodle that's not made with any carbohydrates. So there are other things out there and we would help you with that. But just so you know, you can hamburgers, we do a lot of meatballs. But anyway, just so you know, there's lots of options. Just be thinking ahead. So that's once a week, you're going to go to the grocery store.
And once a week. So first, once a week, just sit down and look at your entire next week, every single day. What do you have going on that day? What would you like to eat that day? Just one day a week. Do it on Saturday morning or whatever. Look at what you want to eat every single day, and then go to the grocery store that weekend and buy all those things. So now it's in your house. The good things are out. The bad things are in. You already know what you're going to have. And that's going to be one thing you can do. And then we'll talk about what you do daily also. But if you can just do that one thing, plan all your meals for the week and go buy all the stuff for the week so it's actually in your house, it's going to make your decision making so much easier.
Yeah. And another thing we do is then every night. So we had done a weight loss program years ago, and this was one of the things that they recommended. It was a 12-week program, and we did it. And so every single night we planned what we were going to eat the next day. And then the next day, we wrote down what we actually did eat on that day.
And what time we ate it. That was
Right.
important too.
And so, right. So it was like, and it was at the time, it felt like, I mean, because we stuck to it. And at the time, it just felt like, oh my gosh, all this work. But then it becomes a habit, which is part of the decision fatigue. Because once things become a habit, you're no longer making these decisions. They're just what you do.
Yep. That's perfect. And that's why we say, plan your meals for the whole week on one day of that week. However, we also say look every single night on your next day, because you know how things go. Things may change, on a dime. Maybe yesterday you went to work and found out you've got a big meeting today or whatever. If there's something that changes, then you'll know that night. It's like, okay, I'm going to have to change what I thought I was going to eat because I'm not going to have that kind of time. And just kind of switch things around, because you already have the food in your house, so you can switch things around if you want. But again, we don't want you to wait and go in that next day and say, oh my gosh, there was a meeting here and I was supposed to be eating this. And now I can't do it. And then y'all, freak out again. So just plan once a week, all your meals a week, and then every single night, what you're going to eat the next day if things have changed. And then when you wake up, remember we told you about writing down your why. Actually put pen to paper so you can write it. Put it somewhere where you're going to see it. If you go to the bathroom the first thing in the morning, then keep it in the bathroom. And while you're sitting there, you can just read your why. Recommit to the commitment that you gave yourself. We really want you to do that every day, in the morning when you wake up and at night when you go to bed. If you just keep doing that, your why. If you do that every single day, twice a day, when these things come up that are kind of stumble blocks, hopefully that's going to click right in your brain and say, no, it's not worth it because I am committed to myself. So, and a lot of people think that if they have to work out, if they have to lose weight, they have to work out. That is not true. Okay. You do not have to work out. Working out is wonderful. It's great. Everybody should, but everybody in their own time, because some people, if you're used to working out, definitely keep working out. It's wonderful. If you have never worked out before, this is not the time to start. And it doesn't matter. Working out is not what's going to burn the fat out of your fat cells. Your nutrition is what's going to burn the fat out of your fat cells. Okay. So yes, working out is excellent, but if you've never done it before, this is not the time. Get the weight off first. You'll start feeling better. You'll have more energy, and then you'll know when to start.
Right. And exercising. Then another thing is because you're trying to incorporate all these new things into your life. And so if you're doing way too many things, you won't do any of them. So just stick with the food for now and the planning, and then the working in the workout out, like going for walks, which
now everybody should walk. Yeah, everybody should walk. That's not working out. Walking does so many great things for your body. Just moving your lymphatic system, the system in your body that clears all. It's kind of like the trash service. That's what your lymphatic system is. It's a trash service. It comes through, gets all the debris, all the chemical debris that's been happening through your body all the time, and it pumps that out of your body. It does a lot more than that too, but that's one way you can think of it. But your heart pumps blood vessels. It pumps your blood through the arteries and veins. Your lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. So your lymphatic system, the only way it moves, flows through your body and out of your body, is when you physically move. The muscles contracting is what causes that to pump through. So walking has so many good things. And if you can do this, if you could incorporate walking in the morning, that would be even better. As soon as you wake up, just put on some clothes and go out for a nice walk out in the sun. This does so many things. You get vitamin D from the sun, which is extremely important. Vitamin D is so important. And most people are so vitamin D deficient because they never get out in the sun. And when they do, they lather all this chemical sunscreen all over their body. So they still aren't getting all the benefits of the sun. And there are a ton of benefits from the sun. So get out early in the morning. Don't put sunscreen on. Just get out there and just stay out as long as you can. If you feel like you're starting to get red, you can always come in. But you're going to get vitamin D. You're going to get the ultraviolet light. You're going to get the red light. You're going to get it also by walking out and outside. You're also, it's reset your circadian rhythm. So your body gets set on the right course from the very beginning. And I've done podcasts on these. Episode number 29 is called Why is Moving Your Body Important for Infection, Nutrition, and Swelling? And if you have any trouble with swelling in your legs, lower limbs, or anything, you've got to listen to this, because this has a lot to do with it, because people just don't move the way they used to. And if you're going to do it. Yeah.
So we have, the Apple Watches. And so we like to track how far we walk. And like Steve even made us a chart. And so we write it down every night. We have a certain goal. And so you can track how far you walk. It can be fun. Now it can be a little, for some people, you don't want to become obsessed with it, but just start increasing your walking. If you are walking 2,000 steps a day right now, is that a mile?
2,000 is about a mile.
About a mile, 2,500. It depends. But you don't have to have one of these. But if you know you've walked a mile or 2 miles, but if you only walk a mile a day, just with your, going in and back and forth to work, what you do in your house, those types of things, usually people do about 2,000 steps. So then you don't want to go to 10,000 steps. You want to just gradually increase. Just, I don't even know, 2,500.
And there's different ways you can do that. And even if you can't walk that far, say you can only walk down your sidewalk, then walk down your sidewalk. Just do that. But know how much you're in. And then as you start feeling better, well, maybe I could go down 2 houses and back, or 3 houses and back. I mean, you just slowly want to increase so you can get your body moving more and more, each day. I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, and then, going back to the name of our podcast, it's planning ahead. So plan that in as well. Plan in that you want to go for a walk.
Right.
On lunch breaks. After dinner, that's a great time to walk, is after you've eaten dinner. So even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes, it doesn't have to be an hour.
And if you can take the stairs instead of the elevator, when you go to the grocery store, don't park at the very nearest parking spot. Park the farthest one away and walk into the store and walk back. You'd be amazed at how much just these little tweaks and things you do when you get it out of your mind, like, oh, I don't want to walk very far. I want to get as close as I can, to think, oh my gosh, I need to get my steps in. I need to move my body. It's going to change everything. And you're going to start finding all kinds of ways that you can do more walking by just parking further away or taking the stairs or whatever. So that leads us to our daily things. And again, these are things that we want, if you can just write them down, set up what you want to do every day and every week, and make it so you, like she said, you make it a habit so you don't have to make all these decisions all the time. The one thing every single day, we haven't talked about nutrition, but all my podcasts are about nutrition. But we totally believe in eating only God-made food. That's real meat, real fruit, and real vegetables. Okay. So anything that comes from an animal is fair game. That's awesome. So you were talking about cheese, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, butter, ghee. Those are all good. Tallow, lard, all those are good. All the stuff that comes from an animal, those are good. What you want to stay away from are all the things that comes from plants, unless it's real fruit, real vegetables. And if you do eat fruits and vegetables, which you don't have to, but if you want to, eat the fruit, eat the vegetables. Do not drink those. Once you blend those down, you swirl it down, you do it into a liquid, you've already run a lot of the healthy things you're going to be getting from the fruits and vegetables, and you're actually making it more toxic. So eat the fruit, eat the vegetable, and don't drink it.
Another thing is no snacking. So if you're going to eat 3 meals a day, just eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, normally 4 to 5 hours in between, whatever, but no snacking. So that's very important.
And like she said, 4 to 5 hours, was that where you had more on that?
Yeah. No.
And the other thing with that is, if you want to really supercharge your weight loss, remember the whole purpose of weight loss, the whole thing about your body, how it burns fat, is keeping your insulin levels low. Because again, when your insulin levels are high, you force your body to store fat. When your insulin levels are low, you force your body to burn your own fat for your energy source. And that's what you want to do. So what makes your insulin levels go high? Blood glucose. Putting glucose in your blood is what makes your insulin levels go high. So what puts glucose in your blood? Putting glucose in your mouth. How are you putting glucose in your mouth? You're eating plant-based foods. All plant-based foods are carbohydrates, and the basic building block of all carbohydrates is glucose. So if you're having trouble with glucose, like you're a type 1 or type 2 diabetes, just quit eating plant-based foods. I mean, it's really that easy. If you are, eat the plants that grow above the ground. Okay. There's not going to be as much glucose in those as there is in plants that grow underneath the ground, like potatoes, sweet potatoes, beets, carrots. Those have a lot of starch in them because that's the nutrient source for the plant. But starch are just long chains of glucose. So when you eat something that grows underneath the ground, you're putting a lot of glucose in your system, which means you're raising your insulin, which means you're forcing your body to store fat. So to go along with all this, one thing you can do to keep your insulin levels low is to eat all your meals in like a 6 to 8 hour time period, whether it's 1, 2, or 3 meals, that's up to you, but eat that all within a 6 to 8 hour time period. And then you'll have all the rest of the time, which also includes your sleep, how much time you sleep. It'll all the rest of the time, all you're going to have is water, unsweet coffee, or unsweet tea. And that'll allow for your glucose to come down in your blood, and that's going to allow your insulin to come down, and that's going to allow you to start burning your fat again. So if you stick to God-made food, mainly animal-based foods, and you also eat all your meals within a 6 to 8 hour time frame, you're going to be amazed at how quickly your glucose is going to reset, your A1C will come down, and your fat's going to come off. But you're eating protein, so you're not having to worry. There's a big difference between weight loss and fat loss. You do not want weight loss because most people, the way they do weight loss is they restrict calories. They just quit eating as much. Just like all these people on Ozempic and all these GLP-1s, they're starving themselves is what they're doing. And so the body is going to be eating the fat for its energy source, but it's also going to be eating your muscle for its protein source. So you do not want to have your body eat your muscle for protein. So that's why you're eating the protein this whole time. Eat your protein and let your body eat its own fat. So now you're going to have fat loss without actual muscle loss. And that's the whole key of what you really want to do.
Going to water.
Okay. Next thing is water. Water is very, very important. And I've talked about this. I gave a whole podcast on this called podcast number 17. Is water really that important? Yes, water is very important. You can get too much water. I've seen little girls walking around with a gallon jug of water saying that's what they're trying to drink that day. No way. You are not supposed to drink that much. You can dilute out your electrolytes and can actually make things worse. So you can get too much water. The amount of water you should have is take your ideal body weight, not your actual body weight. So if you weigh 250 pounds and you know you should weigh 180 pounds, use the 180 pounds. Divide that by 2, so that's 90. That means you need to drink 90 ounces of water every single day. Okay. And an easy way to do this, so you're not sitting there counting ounces every single time you drink, is get you a water bottle. If you get like a 30-ounce water bottle, then all you know is you just need to have 3 of those a day, and that'll be perfect. And before I forget, also, I don't know if I told you back on time restricted eating. If you want more information on that, I gave a podcast on that also called is podcast number 93. It's called The Role of Intermittent Fasting. And there's intermittent fasting, time restricted eating. It's the same thing, basically. So don't worry about that. And then the other thing you need to do every day is you need to decide what time do you need to get up the next morning. What time do you actually need to get up for whatever you're going to do? If you're going to go walking, if you're going to do anything else, and then count back 8 hours. And you really need to get to bed 8 hours before that time, at least 8 hours before that time, because that's what happens. A lot of people start new things like this for their day, and they thought, well, I'll just get up earlier, but they still go bed at the same time. So now they're not getting all their sleep, and sleep is extremely important. You have to have your sleep. And so now it just makes you tired for the whole day, and then it's going to ruin everything. So make sure if you know what time you need to get up in the next morning, you plan at least 8 hours prior to that you are in bed, 8 or 9 hours that you're in bed, so you can get good night's sleep.
And another thing with the planning ahead is like plan what you're going to wear the next day. So if you're going to go for a walk first thing, have out some clothes to walk in, or then put out your clothes you're going to work in. Just go to work in. This is part of the decision fatigue that people come into. It's like they get up and they already are having to decide. It's like, no, it's already been laid out. You made this plan last night with your front of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
and because this is what you want to do. But what happens is you're tired. Sometimes you had to get up, maybe got up early because you didn't go to bed on time, but your workout clothes are just right there. They're ready to go. You just put them on and just go walk. So that's part of the planning ahead.
Right. And it is so important if you do this. And the other thing it does is it gets thoughts out of your head, because a lot of times you're going to go to bed and you're ready to go to sleep, but your mind's thinking, oh, I've got this meeting tomorrow, what I'm going to wear tomorrow, what I'm going to eat tomorrow, what am I going to blah, 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 blah. Write all that. Don't put it on a telephone or a computer yet, because you do have to watch out for the blue light and the blue screens, because that can affect your sleep also. So if you're having trouble sleeping, don't be on any kind of electronics before you go to bed. Write it down. If you want to switch it over to electronics the next day, that's fine. But be thinking about just like Theresa said, what are you going to wear? Already have it planned out. What are you going to eat? Already have it planned out. What time and what foods are going to eat the next day? Have it all planned out. It's all written down right before you go to bed. If there's a meeting that you need to get ready for, there's something you need to do, write that, get that all out of your head, put it on pen and paper, set it on your nightstand. And now you can clear your brain and you can be ready for a good night's sleep, which is so important. Again, for the circadian rhythm. I won't go into that. But
and then also make it dark. So you have little lights, cover the little lights up. We'll put a blanket over something, or you could put some tape, whatever. Make it dark in there and make sure your room is cool. So that's different for everybody. We like ours about 68 degrees. I could handle a little cooler sometimes, but just make sure that it's cool. We have a fan, you can turn your air down, just whatever you need to do.
But light is important. Some people are extremely sensitive to light. So they even our son, it affects his life. He actually goes around and puts a little piece of electrical tape over all the little lights on like his smoke detectors and on his television or radio or whatever, not radio, but any fans, any lights that just indicate that something is on. That was enough that is affecting him. So he just put electrical tape over there and just keeps it there. So those lights are gone. Some people wear eye masks, because of the light. As far as sound, that's up to you. Everybody is so different. Some people want it totally quiet. Theresa likes the sound of the fan. So now, after almost 40 years, I also will listen to the fan. But so whatever works for you. Some people like the radio. Some people like television. But
the white noise.
Yeah, you want just white noise. And like I said, cold. Most people sleep better when they're cold. Your body's going to go through these temperature changes through the night, and cold seems to be one that people tend to sleep a lot better in. So, is there anything else you can think of?
I don't think so. Just the importance of planning ahead. I mean, because we go through those spells as well. It's like we will get off track. You've been on vacation, you've done all these things out of your normal routine, and then you try to get back to them. And it can be challenging, but it can be done. You just need to start planning ahead. And so that's what we'll do to get back on track. We plan ahead. It's like, okay, we need to start planning. So he has it in his phone. On Sundays, we talk about what we're going to eat that week. You don't have to talk about it with other people. I mean, if your spouse isn't interested, but you have to look at that. And then every single night, just start writing it down. And I mean, we did it for 12 weeks that first time, but we probably could have done it longer.
Oh yeah.
It's you think 12 weeks is enough, but it's like those old habits really are there.
And that goes back to your why. Knowing your why. Why do you want to do this? Why do you seriously want to do this? Do you want to do this to lose weight, to look better in a bikini or swimsuit? Or do you want to do this because you're on a lot of medication, you're sick of being on medications? Are you doing it because you have pain in all your joints, or you have arthritis, or you have, gastrointestinal issues, or whatever it is? These can all be reversed, and these are being reversed by people all the time. Things that we always thought was chronic and you'll have these the rest of your life, like rheumatoid arthritis. It's not true. When you clean up your nutrition, you're going to be amazed at how much better you feel. And we've got so many people that we personally know that are talking to us that have reversed all these. Some people have been on diabetic medications for over two decades. And now all of a sudden they start eat clean, and they can almost be off all their diabetic medications within around 6 weeks, 2 months. They can be off all of it. It's amazing what you can do when you change your nutrition. And this is all the stuff that we're trying to get through to people, because I'm a doctor of pharmacy. I have been for over 35 years. And I was always brainwashed thinking that that's all you can do is treat symptoms anyway. Once diseases start, you can't do anything. So just keep giving them all these medications to treat the symptoms. And that's a lie. That is not true. You can actually go back to the core of what's wrong, and it is your nutrition. But before you do that, you have to change your plans. You have to change your thoughts. And remember what Theresa said, put feeling. If you're ever going to think about things, just like if you're thinking about something that happened in the past, you can think about it and learn from it, but do not put feelings. Don't put emotions to that. Because once you put emotions to it, your brain is going to suck to that area, and you don't want it. So learn from it. Put your emotions, your feelings, put that to your future. Say, I am going to get in shape. I am going to get off this medication. I am not going to be a type 2 diabetic anymore. Get that drilled in your head. So when you come up on these things, you're strong. And you say, yes, I know my why, and I'm not going to put up with all that kind of stuff because I feel so good right now. And that is really what we want from you.
Yeah.
And for you.
For you. Okay.
So I guess that's all we have today. You have anything else?
Yeah. So just plan ahead, and it'll just kind of start creating these new grooves in your brain, and it won't be work anymore.
No.
It'll just be habit.
And you'll be amazed when you do this. The quicker you come off carbohydrates, the quicker you come off plant-based foods and stick to only real fruits and real vegetables and the vegetables that grow on top of the ground. Once you do that, and even if you, and especially if you put in this intermittent fasting, you're going to be amazed at how quickly your energy and your weight and everything is going to come around to the way you want it. More energy, less fat, and you just feel better about yourself in general. And that's what we want. So as always, thank you so much for listening. Have a fantastic week. And as always, make simple, healthy choices to live a quality life.